very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tracy Shilchi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you the day's top stories from India and across the world, starting with the headlines. Normalcy returns to Kashmir Valley. The government restrictions lifted in many parts of the state. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj meets her Chinese counterpart Wang in Moscow, raises issue of China blocking India's bid to designate Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as a terrorist by the UN. Government tells Supreme Court India cannot claim the 105-carat Kohinoor diamond since Maharaja Ranjit Singh gifted it to the East India Company. And Dilma Rousseff is just one step away from presidential impeachment after Brazil's lower house passes the vote with a resounding two-thirds majority. Our top story: after almost a week of unrest in Kashmir, normalcy has finally returned to the valley. Restrictions imposed by the government were lifted off today in parts of the state. Authorities lifted curfew-like restrictions for 3 hours from 8 to 11 a.m. in towns of Handwara and Kupwara. Mobile internet services were also restored after midnight, as no untoward incident of violence and protest was reported across the valley. Life in most parts of Kashmir limped back to normal, with vehicular traffic returning and shops and schools also reopening. Problems began last Tuesday, remember, after an alleged molestation of a local minor girl by a security personnel. Afterwards, violent protests erupted and 5 civilians were killed during clashes. And on the 17th of April, the girl appeared before a chief judicial magistrate and deposed that she was assaulted by 2 schoolboys, not a soldier. We'll keep an eye out on developments there. Meanwhile, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj met her Chinese counterpart Wang today on the sidelines of the RIC Foreign Ministers meet in Moscow. Apart from issues of bilateral concern, Swaraj raised with him the issue of China blocking a UN ban on Masood Azhar, the chief of Jaish-e-Mohammed and the alleged mastermind of the Pathankot terror attack.
In Moscow for the Russia-India-China Foreign Ministers meeting, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj held a one-on-one meeting with her Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. Sushma strongly raised the issue of China blocking India's bid to have Jaish-e-Mohammed chief and Pathankot terror attack mastermind Masood Azhar designated as a terrorist by the United Nations. According to Foreign Ministry officials, Sushma told Wang Yi that as common victims of terrorism, China and India should cooperate in combating this challenge. Sushma raised the issue of terrorism at the plenary session of the Trilateral Foreign Ministers meet as well. She said adopting double standards in dealing with terrorism will have serious consequences.
The RIC countries must lead the way in getting the international community together to counter terrorism through joint action, including at the United Nations. We must not fail in this regard. If we continue to adopt double standards in dealing with terrorism, it will have serious consequences, not just for our own countries, but the international community as a whole.
Sushma also flagged off the urgent need to reform the UN Security Council, a demand India has been making for several years.
We need greater urgency on this issue. I seek the support of my Chinese and Russian colleagues for taking the IGN process forward.
On the economic front, Sushma said as 3 large economies, Russia, India and China, shared similar approaches and could benefit from coordinating their positions. Earlier, Sushma also held a bilateral meeting with her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. She is believed to have raised the killing of an Indian and the death of 2 Indian girl students in a fire tragedy in Russia, besides other bilateral issues. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The centre today told the Supreme Court that India should not stake claim to the famed Kohinoor diamond. It said that the $200 million diamond was neither stolen nor forcibly taken away. The 105-carat diamond was in fact handed over to the East India Company by Maharaja Ranjit Singh as a gift. The top court was petitioned by the organisation, the All India Human Rights and Social Justice Front, which says the Kohinoor and other famous antiques, including the ring and sword of Tipu Sultan, be returned to India by the United Kingdom. The Kohinoor diamond was set in a crown for Queen Victoria and is currently on display in the Tower of London. People have been demanding the return of the 105-carat stone for decades now, but the British government had in 2013 rejected those demands.
Objection was, if this fact is wrong, it was never gifted. It was just fraudulently obtained by the Britishers, and Dalip Singh was carried to the London, or he was even converted to Christianity.
It was not a present as the British are saying. I've checked up the history. The correct history is that Ranjit Singh had got it, and then the British had a battle with them. In that battle, this one colonel British colonel recovered it, and so we have to get it back. It's a very strong case for us in court.
In other news, Kingfisher moved court on Monday, terming as false and incorrect the Enforcement Directorate's charge that the Vijay Mallya-owned company had siphoned off 430 crore rupees from an IDBI loan and used it to acquire properties abroad. However, the special court rejected Kingfisher's plea, challenging the ED claim, and has issued a non-bailable warrant now against Vijay Mallya. The court is hearing cases against the Prevention of Money Laundering Act against Mallya. The liquor baron flew to London in March and has so far refused to present himself in Mumbai for interrogation. His United Breweries Group has told a court in Mumbai that the Enforcement Directorate has its facts wrong and that the money spent abroad was for legitimate business purposes and that it will provide full details in the coming days. Over to Maharashtra now, where the situation in Marathwada is grim. 33% of the state's villages are drought hit, and relief work carried out by the government is turning out to be too little, too late. We're bringing you this ground report.
14,708 villages in Maharashtra. That's nearly 33% of the state's 44,000 villages which are drought hit. Most of these are in the Marathwada region. Acute shortage of water has completely destroyed crops here. Farmers say the relief they received from the government is too little. Water supply by tankers is also erratic, forcing even the elderly and the children to bring water from far-flung regions for household use. Even this water is polluted. It's the same story in village after village adjoining Aurangabad district.
हमारे को यहाँ पानी नहीं है, पानी मांगने को गए तो लोग का पानी नहीं देते, 2-2 4-4 घंटे उनके घर को खड़ रहे थे, गालियाँ फिटकार दे के हमारे को भगाते, हमको पानी नहीं पीने को, 300-400 रुपए का टैंकर पानी का लाते हम.
Shivgarh village is located on a hilly region. The residents here are nomads. Their chief occupation is cattle grazing. The drought has driven away many of them in search of water, which is being sold at exorbitant prices.
पानी के भी टैंकर जल्दी भी आते नहीं, हम पैसे तुम्हारे से निकालते भी नहीं, पैसे दियो तो भी हमको पानी जल्दी लाता नहीं. ऐसा है वो, क्या है हमारा जंगल में बैठना और खाना खाना बैठना ऐसे, भीख मांगते बैठना ऐसा.
In Sahasramuni village, there's no water to be had even at depths of 400 feet. Women and children labor hard to collect it from afar. Farming is a casualty in this season of drinking water shortage.
500 रुपए, 1000 रुपए, 700 रुपए बड़ा टैंक लाते हैं और इधर इनके पास सठाने के लिए बड़े-बड़े ये टाकियां होते हैं, वो टाकी में पानी उतारते हैं और खुद के जेब से दिन भर भीख मांगेंगे, काम करेंगे, धंधा करेंगे और वो जो मेहनत का पैसा है वो पैसे से टैंकर मंगाते हैं और अपना जीवन बसरा करते हैं.
The government claims it is taking all possible steps to relieve the distress of the farmers, but the facts on the ground state otherwise. The situation is actually getting worse in Marathwada, and the intensity of the summer heat is only adding to the distress. Arvind Kumar Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you some more national news updates in Nationwide. The Uttarakhand High Court today questioned the centre's move to impose president's rule in the state while hearing a writ petition of the ousted Chief Minister Harish Rawat challenging the imposition of president's rule. The court said that the governor was not an agent of the centre. The Uttarakhand High Court Chief Justice K.M. Joseph said that emergency powers should be used only in extraordinary cases and that an interference in the state's affairs was not to be seen lightly. The statewide Bandh call given by the Patel community in Gujarat had little impact on Monday except in some pockets dominated by the community. The curfew imposed on Sunday in Mehsana town was also lifted in the morning. The Gujarat government meanwhile will hold talks with Patel community leaders after members of the community clashed with police in Mehsana. While the Supreme Court raised the contention against the triple talaq law in Islamic Sharia, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board has decided to oppose any attempts by the centre to ban the law. The board alleged that attempts are being made to interfere in Sharia laws through the courts. They appealed to the centre to maintain its earlier stand on the matter. Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik today announced 2 lakh rupees each for the families of those killed in the Deoghar bus accident. The mishap that took place on Sunday evening claimed 27 lives and left 11 critically injured. The bus, carrying artists of an opera troupe, including women and children, was returned to Remta in Bargarh district when it plunged about 300 feet. A woman was seriously injured near Chhapra Civil Court on Monday in Bihar after a bomb that she was carrying went off accidentally. Khushbu Kumari, who allegedly came with a bomb with an intention to target a complainant, was rushed to Patna Medical College. 2 other women, including a minor girl, also suffered injuries in the incident. And now let's get you all the election-related news in our segment Verdict 2016. Let's get you news from West Bengal, where Home Minister Rajnath Singh addressed an election rally in the Karimpur district. Launching an attack on Mamata Banerjee, Rajnath Singh said that the law and order system had collapsed completely in the state. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi also addressed a rally in West Bengal's Raghunathganj district. Rahul Gandhi criticized the West Bengal Chief Minister for not delivering on her promise of Pariborton, which he said forced the Congress to contest against the Trinamool Congress in these assembly elections.
मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं, इस बार हम लोगों के अनुकूल यह परिणाम दीजिए, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार बनाइए। बहनों भाइयों, यह हिंसा का दौर समाप्त होगा और यहां पर विकास का चक्का जो लंबे समय से रुका हुआ है, उस विकास के पहिए में हम गति लाने का काम करेंगे, उसे तेजी से आगे बढ़ाने का काम करेंगे।
जब फ्लाईओवर गिरता है तो ममता जी कहती है कि मैं जरूर कार्रवाई करूंगी। तो मेरा ममता जी से सवाल है, 5 साल के लिए आपने क्या किया? जब आपका एमपी वो फ्लाईओवर बना रहा था तो आपने क्या किया? अब जब बंगाल की जनता को चोट लगी है, जब चुनाव आ रहा है, तो आप कहती है मैं कार्रवाई करूं।
Meanwhile, in Tamil Nadu, the emergence of the People's Welfare Front has added a new electoral contestant in the state. It's all set to see a fierce multi-cornered contest, a first of its kind, where the 2 Dravidian parties have been ruling alternatively.
The third front, or the People's Welfare Front in Tamil Nadu, is aiming to erode the Dravidian duopoly in the state. The PWF consists of the left parties, Vijayakant's DMDK, Vaiko's MDMK, Tirumavalavan's VCK, and GK Vasan-led Tamil Manila Congress. In the evolving pre-poll scene, Chief Minister Jayalalitha's AIADMK appears set to scramble through for a second successive term, while DMK is trying hard to establish its hegemony. Experts say that with the emergence of the PWF, there will be fragmentation of anti-incumbency votes in many constituencies.
This is a challenge for both the Dravidian majors, like the PWF and the DMDK front. They will split the vote share of both the Dravidian parties in every part of the state.
The DMDK hit the headlines when it joined the People's Welfare Front. DMDK chief Vijayakant had been constantly wooed by Bharatiya Janata Party and the DMK for an alliance, but it finally joined hands with the PWF and was declared the chief ministerial candidate of the DMDK-PWF alliance. While Vijayakant-led DMDK will contest in 104 seats, Vaiko's MDMK will contest in 29 seats. Former Union Minister GK Vasan's Tamil Manila Congress will fight in 26 seats. 3 other constituents of the alliance, the VCK, CPI and CPIM, will contest in 25 seats each.
Everyone says that this will not continue till elections. But we are very strong. We made this very strong alliance and we have done all works among the parties.
However, internal rebellion in constituent parties of the PWF, lack of well-defined ideology and dominance of caste equations in the political landscape may limit the ambitions of the front. Meanwhile, opponents also question its significance.
It's not a natural alliance in terms of you have the DMDK, which has as its vote bank one particular OBC or MBC caste, and you also have a Dalit party, and this vote bank is not going to vote for this leader. So there is a little bit of a tussle between votes.
It is only regarded as a comedy team. People think that all the other parties, those who are not having any stand in the political, what we call stands, all of them put together, they have formed a group. That is not at all a third front.
The PWF promises introduction of the Lokayukt Act to check corruption, single window system for businessmen, prohibition and closure of nuclear power plants in Tamil Nadu. It remains to be seen whether this third front can alter the political contours in the state.
Personality cult has dominated Tamil Nadu politics for long. Power has been swapped between the AIADMK and the DMK for long, with little to differentiate between the state's two dominant parties in terms of ideology or policy positions. The DMDK and clutch of smaller allies who have banded together to form People's Welfare Front is trying to break this bipolar trend in the state. Let's see if they emerge as kingmakers or they merely dent votes. Reporting from Chennai with camera person Prem, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Without a quick break here, we'll be back with international news in a bit. Stay with us.
There has been a bar bribery scandal, then a solar scam. Because of all these scams, your party's image has taken a beating.
Allegations and the truth are two different things.
Kerala Congress is the most mismanaged unit amongst all the state congresses. Do you believe so?
They are all appreciating us, and it is a model to other states.
First time, BJP is saying that they probably might be the kingmaker.
The Kerala people's mind is not with BJP.
Watch our special episode of To The Point with Kerala Chief Minister Ruman Chandy on the campaign trail, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. Let's get to international news. Then the big story, of course, that we're tracking is the Ecuador earthquake. The death toll, in fact, from the country's biggest earthquake in decades has soared to at least 272 as rescuers hunted desperately for survivors in shattered coastal towns. The 7.8 magnitude earthquake that struck off the Pacific coast on Saturday also affected neighboring countries Colombia, Spain, Venezuela and Chile.
Desperate scenes in Ecuador as rescuers and family members are searching for survivors. The 7.8 magnitude quake that hit coastal Ecuador on Saturday evening has killed at least 272 people and injured over 2,500 so far. Many people have left their homes and are wandering about. Some are sleeping on the streets. Helicopters and buses ferrying troops have been hampered by landslides.
Yo estaba en Atacama haciendo compra, estaba mi hija que casi la atrapa. El esposo la cogió y la sacó y luego que salieron, entonces ahí se vino la casa. Encontré mi casa acá y tumbada en el piso y ahí yo qué tuve que hacer, ponerme a llorar nada más porque...
President Rafael Correa, who visited some of the victims, warned the death toll could increase. He also cut short his visit to Italy to deal with the crisis. A state of emergency has been declared in the country, while 10,000 troops and 3,500 police have been deployed in the affected areas.
La cifra oficial de fallecidos es de 272 a nivel nacional. Vengo haciendo un recorrido, temo que esa cifra aumentará porque seguimos removiendo escombros, tenemos la esperanza de encontrar sobrevivientes, las primeras horas son cruciales, ya han pasado más de 24 horas del terremoto, sin embargo hay señales de vida en muchos de los escombros y se está dando prioridad para aquello.
In Pedernales, the epicenter, more than 300 kilometers away from the Ecuadorian capital Quito, is the worst hit area. As many as 400 people are feared dead. According to officials, the entire town has been flattened. in Ecuador's largest city of Guayaquil, residents battled a fire that is believed to have been caused by the earthquake. The Ecuadorian government has called it the worst quake in the country since 1979. The country experienced more than 130 aftershocks after the earthquake. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to Brazil now, where the President Dilma Rousseff suffered a crushing defeat in the crucial impeachment vote in the lower house of Congress on Sunday. The motion will now go to the upper house, the Senate, for a formal trial. Rousseff and her supporters called the vote, though, a coup against democracy, even as the ruling Workers' Party pledged to continue its fight to defend Rousseff. Here's more.
Carrego comigo nossas histórias de luta pela liberdade e pela democracia. Por isso eu digo ao Brasil, sim para o futuro!
Brazil's president one step closer to impeachment. The lower house passing the vote with a two-thirds majority. 367 voted in favor, well above the 342 needed.
Os golpistas venceram aqui na Câmara, mas dizer para vocês que a luta continua nas ruas e no Senado. Nós vamos fazer processo de mobilização social grande, dialogar com o Senado.
Dilma Rousseff's defense attorney general said the president is open to dialogue within the framework of democracy.
O que não se pode jamais aceitar são situações de ruptura constitucional, situações que qualifiquem um golpe de Estado. No Senado é diferente. No Senado vai ter prova, vai ter julgamento, inclusive dentro daquilo que a lei prevê.
Streets in Brazil broke into cheers after the vote. Rousseff supporters, however, called it a coup against democracy. Dilma Rousseff is accused of creating accounting techniques involving loans from public banks to the treasury that artificially enhanced budget surplus. Rousseff said she did nothing criminal, as many presidents, mayors and state governors used the same techniques and were never punished.
Brasil marcado pela democracia plena, pelo respeito ao judiciário, às nossas leis, tudo que pode vir de melhor.
O governo ele precisa melhorar muito. Só que como não houve comprovação jurídica dos crimes, eu acho que o que está sendo feito, um impeachment que julga um crime de responsabilidade fiscal, não houve comprovação. Então não há justificativa para que haja.
The motion will now go to the Senate, after which a formal impeachment trial will follow in the coming weeks. If Senate passed the motion with simple majority in its first vote, Rousseff will be forced to suspend her presidency for 180 days. And Vice President Michael Temer will serve as acting president. But if the Senate's second vote is passed with a two-thirds majority, Rousseff will be removed from the office immediately. In any case, the situation looks bleak for Brazil's first woman president. It's almost certain that Dilma Rousseff will be forced out of the office months before Brazil hosts the Olympics. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you some more international news updates in Global Buzz. Rodrigo Duterte has refused to apologize for comments he made regarding the rape and murder of an Australian missionary. The frontrunner in next month's Philippines presidential election instead said, and I quote, "This is how men talk." The incident refers to one from 1989 when an Australian national, Jacqueline Hamill, was raped and killed during a riot at the prison where she worked in the southern Philippines. A Chinese military aircraft landed at a new airport on an island the country has built in the disputed South China Sea. This is the first move that raises the prospect of China basing warplanes there. The US has criticized China's construction of artificial islands in the South China Sea and worries that it plans to use them for military purposes. China maintains it has no hostile intent. Meanwhile, Chinese authorities have launched a probe after a report that hundreds of children attending a language school built near a polluted former industrial site developed health problems, including cancer. Of the 641 students who underwent health checks recently, 493 were found to have conditions ranging from chronic coughs, headaches, and blood abnormalities to lymphoma and leukemia. Several Syrian rebel groups have announced a new offensive against the government. They say that the move is a response to ceasefire violations from President Bashar al-Assad's forces. The group said in a joint statement on Monday that they would respond with force to any army units that fired on civilians in what they call a fresh battle. All right, let's get to some sports news now, and this is, of course, good for India. Gymnast Deepa Karmarkar made the nation proud by becoming the first Indian gymnast ever to secure an Olympic berth. The 22-year-old could not clinch an Olympic berth in the World Championships in November last year as she finished outside the podium. But this time around, Deepa exhibited a strong show, finishing with a total of 52.698 points at the final qualifier and the Olympic test event. Deepa earlier had created history by becoming the first Indian woman gymnast to win a medal in the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow in 2014 by clinching the bronze medal. And now let's get you some more action from the world of sports in Sports Beat. The Indian hockey team returned home after clinching a silver medal at the Sultan Azlan Shah Cup in Malaysia. India lost against Australia 4-0 in the finals. Team India put up its best performance, though, of the year, beating Japan, Canada, Pakistan and Malaysia. Indian shooters at the ISSF World Cup missed their targets, ending India's hopes for a medal. Hina Sidhu finished 24th in the women's 10 meters air pistol qualification, while Sidhu's total score of 379 was way below the qualification mark for the final. In the men's trap event as well, Manavjeet Singh Sandhu could not capitalize on a good start. Barcelona suffered a major setback after losing to Valencia 2-1, making it the third La Liga game loss in a row for the first time since February 2003. Lionel Messi pulled a goal back just after the hour mark, making his 500th career goal for club and his country. Barcelona are level on points with second place Atletico Madrid at the top of the Primera division. Sri Lankan spinner Rangana Herath announced his retirement from T20 and ODI matches. The left-arm veteran spinner will, however, continue to play in tests. Herath had a career best in tests of 9 for 127 against Pakistan in 2014, 4 for 20 in ODIs against India in 2013, and 5 for 3 in T20s against New Zealand at the World T20 in 2014. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. From the entire team here, good night.